Great. Well, our speaker is here, so I want to introduce him, Antonio Hernandez. Antonio, oh, there he is. Yay. Antonio went to Cabrillo College and graduated in 2018 before transferring to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. There, he actually got an engineering degree in environmental engineering. I'm going to let him talk about some of the things he was involved with when he was at Cabrillo, but after graduating, he now works as a staff engineer, providing geotechnical engineering services. And I'm going to let Antonio talk more about that. So, welcome. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Sorry, I'm a little sick, but we're still here. Now, first of all, you guys are very lucky that it's online because this class was only in person for the longest time. So this is very good that we get to all be online engineering five. So I went to Cabrillo when was it? 2015, transferred out of there in 2018. So it's been, oh damn, 10 years ago that I was actually there. I started off there. I know you sent me some questions, and I just want to go based off how the questions were, right?
Sure.
I
Yeah,
could go
I,
ahead
I
and do that.
asked, where you grew up, um,
Yeah,
to start.
if that's fine. Yeah, so I actually grew up in Watsonville, so not too far from the Aptos campus at Cabrillo. I went to Paro Valley High School, just trying to get the good grades, and just have fun at the same time. So, what made me kind of push over to study engineering was just to be challenged, Watsonville is an agriculture community, so definitely I wanted to do something that was more related towards agriculture. And also my parents, my uncles and aunts, my cousins, they were all kind of working in that aspect, or if it wasn't from the very bottom, like picking strawberries or raspberry, it was managing a crew of 40 people, or working in at the Driscoll's lab over in aromas, that kind of thing. So that kind of pushed me in that direction. But I thought to myself, I want to really challenge myself. If I'm going to go to a college and university, I'm going to put this money down, and I better make sure that I get the best out of it. So I was going to do agriculture engineering. But then I started looking at curriculums for agriculture engineering, and that involves more technician work. So working on the machinery, like the John Deere tractors,
Hmm.
more mechanical involved, right? And I thought, "Oh, I don't really like that. I kind of want to deal with the water aspect." And I believe at Cabrillo still, but definitely in my high school, we would go out to the wastewater treatment plant, and I would see how agriculture was involved there because you'd have the purple recycled water pipes. I don't know if you guys have seen those before. And I thought, okay, how can I tie in water with engineering now? That is involved in agriculture. This would be environmental engineering, which is what I studied. But technically, environmental is under the civil engineering umbrella. So as of now, I would say I have done environmental engineering work, but predominantly I've done more of civil engineering,
Okay.
more dealing with the geotech aspect, in which I saw you guys briefly discussed over on the presentation. So that's how I decided to go ahead and perform that route. And honestly,
Antonio, can I
yeah,
interrupt you? Did
yes,
um did taking engineering 5 when you were at Cabrillo help you decide that?
helped me because being in high school, I would say up until like my junior year, I sort of knew what engineering was, but I wasn't all the way there familiar with it.
Hmm.
Being in engineering five and speaking with Joanne Panzardi
Yeah.
definitely is what narrowed me down to understand what aspect of engineering to go through. Because I know in this course, you guys go over the different aspects like, oh, structural engineering, geotechnical engineering, water resources, so on and so forth. There's so many mechanical, electrical,
Right.
industrial, I have friends and colleagues, acquaintances from the university that I know more or less did one of each, which is pretty cool.
That is
Uh,
really cool. Yeah.
yeah, but honestly, my experience at Cabrillo was amazing. Definitely, I enjoyed being around people, like-minded people who wanted to go ahead and, I mean, we really don't want to study. right? Or spend a lot of time just studying, but that's what you have to do, and you have to find people that are also wanting to sacrifice their day and go ahead and do this homework or understand how to do certain types of work. So like-minded people were always around, let's say like the STEM center, or I don't know what you call over by the library. Is that the hub still, the
Yeah, the
MLC?
hub. Yeah.
The hub, yes. So the hub, if you go to the hub, there's always people studying or doing some kind of that work. But also that would keep me pushing, but also the counselors. So a quick thought, the first counselor that I went to was not actually the best that I went through at Cabrillo. For example, in the first summer before starting Cabrillo, I went to a specific counselor. I don't remember their name, but essentially chose my classes, but I just didn't get that connection feel, and so kind of bummed out. Like, I more or less know what to take, but I'm still not sure. So then I went to the STEM center, and
Hmm.
Joanne connected me with let's say Christina Ortega. I'm
Hmm.
sure Christina's still at Cabrillo, right?
She is, yes.
And definitely bonded from there, and kind of more or less, she was able to help me make the picture of what classes I should be taking, and if I wanted to go, for example, to Cal Poly, or if I wanted to go to Berkeley, or let's say somewhere down south like UCLA or UC San Diego, um, or CSU San Diego, sorry. Christina would paint that picture for me.
Hmm.
So if you meet one counselor and you're slightly discouraged, or you're not all the way connecting there, you can always connect with somebody else, and that's not a bad thing. So I connected my personal favorite counselors that I was able to meet at least and connect with was Cristina Ortega and Mario Garcia,
Hmm.
also Rudy Puente. He's in Watsonville.
Okay.
Yeah. So for sure, but also assisting
Well, can you
in,
talk about some of your time at Cabrillo? What was some things that you got involved with?
yeah, so I was able to get involved with LUCES, which is Latinos United in Engineering and Science. Also with the STEM Center, just being present there, and the activities that they were hosting with Kelly. Also, I would say being involved with Math 4 prep. I'm not sure if that's still
I don't know.
right.
Yeah.
So essentially, before you initiated your math 4 class, which is the trig and the algebra and trig combined, there was like this 2-week program that you bonded with other students and just reviewed right before the class started. Also was very connected with the Sueños Club over in at the Watsonville and Aptos campus,
Hmm.
and just staying active in clubs really got me connected with the people that were already in my class, but also outside of class. So there you had like your art students, liberal arts, English majors, Spanish majors. So not only were you just breaking your head studying engineering, but you also got to meet from people from other walks of life, or other aspirations that they were trying to go to.
That's cool. And did you say you did engineering abroad?
I did do engineering abroad. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was
What did you guys, can you tell the class a little bit about your project that year?
definitely. So this was engineering abroad for us was in Guatemala, and definitely it was a team of, I believe, of approximately 10 or 11 students, and I believe we were divided up in threes, if I recall. So there was a retaining wall project
Hmm.
that we were involved in, also a sediment basin project that we were involved, and a some water tank installation. So previous years had already installed water tanks, and we were just continuing that process. And I was involved in all three projects. Thankfully, we would just split up the tasks, right?
Hmm.
Um, but definitely, then the sediment basin one, I recall that there was water coming down from the local watershed right there, and I believe the town Zacatepec. It was in Antigua, Guatemala. That was the main city, but we were able to go up to a village. What was it, like a 30-minute drive, 40-minute drive? Zacatepec is Guatemala. I'm really chopping the word right there, but essentially a small village, and uh, just observing, being able to capture some of that water, but also filter it out, and just observing the different aspects of of life there. People are, I would say, there's much more humility or humbleness there, right? And when you're there performing these projects and understanding how they work, you also get to see the people around you and just how they live,
Mhm.
as opposed to coming back over here and seeing, oh, dang, we could just open a faucet and there's clean water thanks to funds, but also like civil engineers and people that we have over here able to complete those projects as opposed to over there, you know, they could open the faucet at their local town, but that water might run out and it's just very scarce.
Yeah,
Those kinds of things. Yeah, so it kind of opens your mind a bit. For me, my family's from Mexico, so I've kind of seen some of those aspects. But for people that have not been outside of the country and we're seeing that, I got to see them firsthand, and just it was just mind blowing,
it
essentially. Yeah,
is. And to recognize the impact that you're having on this community, which is probably really feeling good, you know?
definitely. I always think back to that experience, and it always stays in your head. At
Mhm.
least with me, I would say what like every other month, or I just think, oh, how are things? How must things be going over there in Guatemala? How are those projects doing? So
Yeah,
it kind of always sticks with you, including other projects that you end up doing in your career. You're always thinking like, oh, how you know people are enjoying them, or I was able to contribute to that.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about now? Do you have some favorite projects that you have going on now?
Yes. Is there a way that I can share my
Yeah,
screen?
you can share
Yeah,
your
I,
screen.
I put some little slides together, not too many, just enough. See, share. Is that on here?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, here. All right, is that clear?
Yeah.
So this is over in Salinas. One of the projects that I was able to be a part of in 2022. Yes. So I don't know if you guys see all the small red dots and the blue dots, yellow at this
Yep.
map. So essentially, this used to be a slough, like way back in the day. And the way we know is because even if you drive by when it's super rainy, this entire site just floods, like floods badly. And so what we're trying to do is restore it back to that slough aspect, but also implement a new park on this west side. And the way we do this, or the way to get permits and to be able to move forward, is to go ahead and drill or obtain soil samples or do borings, like how you guys were explaining earlier, right? So this would be considered Car Lake, and if you can see this, we're trying to implement a huge body of water, essentially bring it back to the restoration and have it be so that people can walk around and enjoy this area. Once again, here is the park that's currently being constructed as of today, thanks to these efforts from uh, local architects, local designers, and ourselves as well being involved. A pretty picture. This is the one that they use to show off to the communities that are, different groups around. So here is actually the process that it takes for us to go ahead and start this. So this is a small drill rig. This is track mounted. I don't know if you guys see the guy has a remote in his hand. And now basically just go out to the different locations in which you guys saw the map, the red dots that we were able to put. Go out to locations, drill to X amount of feet. Let's say, I believe the deepest boring was 30 feet and the shallowest was somewhere around 5 or 10 feet. And just go ahead and classify the soils, as you can see on the right. The ones on the right are not from this project, but that's just an example of how it should look. Just check out the soils. Okay, is the soil expansive? Is it all sand? If we were to remove a bunch of soil like how we saw in that pond area, is the water going to infiltrate correctly? Like how are things gonna act? Right? So from here, then we go do our lab testing, but also I'll write up a geotechnical engineering report. That's the official name, and then have it reviewed by one of our senior engineers and have it get stamped. So that's what we did for this project. And the park area, here's some of the construction that's going on as of now. These pictures were taken a few months ago. Uh, if you guys have driven by, I'm sure you've seen this banner, the Earth Systems banner. That's the company I work for. And over here in the orange, is our nuclear density gauge. So this is used to check how compacted the soils are. You guys see these markings on the ground? These are from a sheep's foot compactor just running over the soil back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then you go out there and you go ahead and check, oh, is the soil compacted to a density of 95%? Is it compacted to 90? Did the contractor try to skip steps and he's not passing compaction? So you always have to keep an eye. You write, or myself, or whoever's a geotech, you write the report, and then you get to see these aspects be implemented once you're out in the field, right? And you got to make sure that they're following whatever you wrote on your report.
Mhm.
So kind of like a quality check. Now, this is another project over in Belmont. This is much further. I had to work on this one briefly for 3 weeks, just doing the field inspections because our site technician slash engineer, he was out for vacation. So this is essentially an affordable housing unit of 125 units, so it's pretty massive. And if you guys look up this address, the 803 Belmont, you could definitely go on Google Maps and just see the view out to the San Francisco Bay is amazing. So this is what the site used to look like, right? I don't know if you can see my cursor here. So
Yes.
the black outline, that's the site. This used to be an old motel constructed in 1952. And the thing with this project is, I don't know if you guys see that structure back there, all the way back there.
Mhm.
So that's part of another piece of property in which it's right here. As you can imagine, this drop from over here all the way to the street, that's a massive, extremely massive drop in soil. And if we want to accomplish something like this, you have to remove that soil, right?
Mhm.
But if you're removing that, then you'll have to implement these giant retaining walls.
Mhm.
So just visiting the site and getting to expect making sure that these individuals were essentially placing bracing. I'll keep it in shorter words, placing bracing and making sure that they're following per spec, per plan. Yeah. So here's a small video. And my colleagues and I just presented on this project last week at our annual seminar with Earth Systems. So yeah,
Cool.
we had this video playing. That's some of the pictures. Just getting to walk around a site like this, always making sure that you're safe. Whether or not you decide to do civil engineering, at least keep this in mind. Always stay safe. Wear your personal protective equipment. Wear your hard hat, safety vest, sunglasses, gloves. You'll end up on a site sometimes where people might say, "Oh, that looks funky" or whatever. That looks funny. Don't believe them. There's been too many incidences in which I haven't seen myself, but I've heard from colleagues in which personal protective equipment definitely comes in handy. This third project, this last one that I'll show, is over here in Salinas as well, 300 Main Street. I don't know if you guys have passed by the huge Salinas Arc. It's right down the street from this. This building was on the news a few years ago in which it burned down, right? So this was the Dick Brune building, and we were involved in not only restoring the building, but also improving its foundation. So this building was on spread footings, and if you guys can see essentially the square where these columns are, right? So these were on spread footings. And now the new California building code says, hey, well, that's not acceptable anymore. If you want to keep this building the way it is, you have to upgrade and let's say we recommended to install these helical anchors or helical foundations. So these here, four of them have to go around each column. The deepest one that we were able to install was 98 feet. So from the south end of the site, it was 75 feet, all the way to the farther end, it was like 98 feet. And they had to get torqued down via this. I was able to identify via this Apple program or Apple app to a torque of 9,000 foot-pounds. Getting able to inspect that was crazy. But the building looks very nice now. You guys see,
Mhm.
upgraded and everything. Yeah, those are a few projects that I wanted to share. Um, let me see.
So I guess we get a sense of what your day is like. Sometimes you're in the office, sometimes
Yes,
you're out in the field.
it's very different. It just depends what's going on. Sometimes I'll be in the office, sometimes I'll be in the field doing inspections. Sometimes I'll be in contact with clients. Hey, we need this report like next week, by next week. Okay, what do we have to do? We have to get all of our team partners together and just be like, okay, this is what we're gonna focus on during the week. And I like it. If, like I said, my degree's in environmental engineering, but what I'm doing is more on the civil side, geotech side, and I like it. If you enjoy being outdoors, I would say geotech engineering, which falls under the civil umbrella, is the way to go. Definitely, let's you get to stay, let's say, local, or if you want to move across the state, this kind of work is there. Wherever you decide to step, this kind of work is there. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
And how has having your engineering degree impacted your life? Like,
I was just reading that. Definitely has opened so many doors for me, not only in my local community. Well, I used to live in Wattsville, right? But now I live over here in Salinas. I get to see these projects that are either going to start or they're about to start, and just getting to know the team players that are here from the city or the county, um, as opposed to just staying on one side and not knowing anything of what's going on. You know, just being in the rooms where these talks are being made of these potential upgrades or things that are about to happen. Um, but also I would say the compensation, it is compensated, especially if you decide to work overtime or, take on prevailing wage jobs. So keep that in mind. PW or prevailing wage jobs, they tend to get paid slightly more. And just let's say, oh, I need to purchase a drill or I need to purchase this or that. It's not, I would say being able to work as an engineer definitely helps out. I'm not saying that you're going to be balling and making all this money, but it definitely is a further step up of, at least what I was used to from working at Orchard Supply or working at Tractor Supply. I remember making this check to now what I make now, thankfully.
that's
Let me see.
awesome.
Yeah,
And do you have any advice for the students in the class?
I would say if you guys can connect in clubs, any club doesn't matter, just stick to it. For example, myself, I was able to stick to Luces over here at Cabrillo, but also when I went to Cal Poly at the university,
Hmm.
I stick to essentially it was considered the same organization, titled SHIP, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
Hmm.
And I know there's other organizations that do similar stuff. They were able to have mock-up interviews and mock-up res or help you out with your resume. So every week, essentially, we'd have a meeting, we'd eat, chat, and everything, but they'd always bring it up. Hey, whoever wants to sharpen their resume, stop by at this time. Whoever wants to go ahead and do a mock-up interview, stop by at this time. Um, and I would say those aspects really helped me out because I'm not sure at Cabrillo as of now, but definitely when you're at the university, you have companies coming in and offering these services to you now. You'll have people like Chevron, you'll have people like local counties or just other companies that just come in and try to prepare you for these things. So when it comes time for you to apply at a certain career, you'll have a good chance because the people that come and help you for the mock-up interviews will typically be the people that are interviewing you when it comes time to go ahead with that career. I would also say update your LinkedIn. If you don't have LinkedIn, better get LinkedIn because that's the way all this is moving now. Update your profile picture. I haven't updated mine in years, but update whatever work you've done. Have your resume sharpened. If anybody needs help with that, feel free. We could get you guys my contact info because that is very crucial. Even for a even sorry, not resume, even for an internship.
Hmm.
Start looking for internships. I know you guys are very young, but the sooner you start, the better. I remember people used to say, "Oh, internships are not paid." That's not true. At Earth Systems, I started off as an intern, making $15 an hour, right? Learning some of these engineering aspects or field aspects before I even had my degree. And thankfully, Earth Systems has an office here in Salinas, Hollister, but also in San Luis Obispo. So when I was going to Cal Poly Slow, I was working with them as well, to pay off my room and board or whatever I needed to pay my food. Hmm.
Antonio, do they still have an internship program?
Yes, I would say it's more or less every summer. Yeah, it's typically in the summers when we're looking for somebody,
Oh, we
either
should get
one
the
or two people.
info. We should get the
Yeah,
info for these students. That would be
yeah,
great.
definitely. That'd be fantastic. We could get that out to you guys.
Great. I want to give the students an opportunity to ask some questions before we let you go, if there are any. You can uh, unmute if you would like to ask Antonio a question,
Feel
or
free to
put
ask
it
any
in
questions.
the chat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna see what comes up. Let's see. Anyone have a question? What's the hardest class you've taken at Cabrillo?
It's class. First of all, Cabrillo prepares you very well, most definitely. So I would say I had to take, since I was trying to do environmental, I had to take chemistry 1B with Albie, I believe is his name.
Mhm.
Um, Physics 4B was also a tough one with Joe McCullough. I'm not sure if Joe's still there. And then I would say Math 5B. So all the B's, Chem 1B, Math 5B, and Physics 4B. Yeah,
But you
so
made it. What
I
was your
made it. Yeah,
strategy for
definitely.
getting through those if they were hard?
I made it. I still remember physics. I was able to focus all the way. I got an A. The Chem 1B, I got a B, and then the Math 5B was not looking too hot. It was like a C minus.
Did you have a study strategy or did you
Yes, thanks for bringing that up. So a lot of the general courses that you guys take right now at Cabrillo, a lot of that information is online, is on YouTube. So what I used to do is, let's say we were going to study section 5.1 integrals or whatever in math, right? In calculus. I'd go on YouTube and I search, okay, integrals, introduction. So before I went to class, I would watch this video either on the way to school, on the bus, or even the night before at home. And I just familiarize myself with the language, like, okay, what is an integral? What does it do? What is this? And then by the time the instructor was teaching it at Cabrillo in the math class, I have an idea of what he's about to speak about or what's going to happen, right? And you grasp the concept much better.
cool? Thank
Mhm.
you. That's a great idea. I think this question, do you work with architects prior to some projects, is
Yes.
relevant.
Yes. So sometimes the architects are the client in which they're representing somebody bigger, right? So definitely we collaborate with architects very often. They're great people to work with. Their type of work is different, but if we have a question on their set of plans or any issue, we'll call them up and they're more than likely to help us out on that. Or if they see our geotech report and they're not agreeing with something, they'll just ask us like, "Hey, why is it like this?" And we'll just have to explain. Okay, you know.
And you probably work with all kinds of engineers also, like electrical and mechanical, right? I would imagine structural.
Or let's say structural, people that do pavement, people that do, yeah, more or less, I would say.
Do
Just
you think
depends
you'll
on,
get do you think you'll get back to the water side of things?
maybe later down the line. That's
Yeah.
something that I have thought. But for now, I'm enjoying this. I'm
Good.
really enjoying this. Yeah, it's a cool aspect.
Do you think it's possible to get a specific job you want, or do more engineers usually have to take whatever job in their field comes their way?
You could get whatever job you want. Whatever engineering degree you have, it's gonna open so many doors for you. I've
Mhm.
seen it. I've seen it firsthand. I've
Okay.
seen it firsthand. Yeah, so if I wanted to, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go work at let's say at a water company. I could go ahead and do it. If I want to go work, let's say in mechanical engineering, which is totally different. I'm not gonna say it's a walk in the park, but they're gonna look at my application like, okay, this guy's serious about his work. This guy's serious about wanting to move forward, kind of thing.
How about at Earth Systems Consultants? Is it all geotech there, or do you have
It's
other
all
tech?
geotech and I would say a little bit of materials testing.
Uh-huh.
So, tensile testing, rebar,
Hmm.
breaking concrete, uh, soils testing, that kind of thing. Predominantly geotech, but also some environmental. But this would be considered more hard environmental, in
Hmm.
which we're checking for, let's say, asbestos in the soil or arsenic in the soil, those kinds of things. Not essentially as focused with the water. We do take groundwater measurements and we do look at some aspects of water, but it's not as focused on that.
Okay, well, thank you, Antonio. I think we're gonna um, let you go. I know you're not feeling well, and we appreciate your being here.
We're good. Definitely.
And
This made me cheer up if anything. That's
so
cool.
great to meet you and hear
Yeah.
about all the stuff you've been doing. And you've connected with us, right? Because we're gonna have a reunion for alumni this summer.
When is that happening? I thought it was in the spring, in summer.
It's been moved to the summer, but I don't have an exact
That's
date.
good. Okay.
Oh, just make sure you're connected on LinkedIn since you brought it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, yeah. On
Okay,
LinkedIn.
good. All right, thanks so much. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
for sure.
Um,
Okay. Well, that's it. You guys don't have any other questions?
I think we have to move on to our next topic.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. And if maybe they could get in touch with you if you want to put your email in the chat.
Yeah. Let me
That
send
might
out
be useful if
my
they have
email.
other questions. Great.
Let me place my email. Give me a second. That's it right there. So feel free to shoot me an email. I'll be checking it. And thank you guys for the space and good luck to you guys. Take advantage of all the opportunities out there.
Thanks so much, Antonio. Really great talking to you.